Good evening. I'm Dan Eastgate, President of the Bismarck School Board. It's 5:15 on Monday, March 10th. I call this meeting to order. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us both here and also online. You can find our agenda and follow along online under the School Board tab at bismarckschools.org. There's also some agendas on the table back by the entry door. Mr. Chair, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Eastgate?
Here.
Mr. Hager?
Here.
Mr. Lee?
Here.
Mrs. Peterson?
Here.
Ms. Presky?
Here.
All members are present and accounted for. Dr. Fosnot, could you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. Item 1C, the BPS mission, vision, and values. The BPS mission is to empower every learner to thrive. The BPS vision states, together, our strong relationships build inclusive, collaborative, and innovative environments that create agency and inspire a passion for learning, excellence, and discovery. The BPS values are inclusion, excellence, innovation, and leadership. You can also find a link in the agenda to the BPS strategic plan. Item 2 is to adopt the agenda. What are the wishes of the board?
I move we adopt the agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Chair.
Hager?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Peterson?
Yes.
Presky?
Yes.
Eastgate?
Yes, motion passes. Item 3 is focus on success. We have 3A, Bismarck Public Schools Foundation. Dr. Fosnot.
Good afternoon, board members. Nice to see you.
Evening.
I have a pleasure tonight of introducing our new foundation director, replacement for Ms. Stacy Lang, who departed us for greater and better opportunities at the Capitol. And we were fortunate enough to, after a long, extensive search, Mr. Hager and I, and there are several others on the foundation board, got to interview several applicants, and we were pleased to have Ms. Nygaard say yes to our request. She started working February 10th, has been very hard at it, getting up to speed all the foundation work. I'm going to let her share a few of the things that she's been working on as she's been entering the task. But Ms. Nygaard, you are at the podium.
Good evening, Ms. Nygaard.
Thanks for joining us tonight.
I'm Tali, and I'm very excited to take over the Foundation Director role. I wanted to recognize Stacey and her contribution she has made over the last 5 years. I've had the privilege of working here for the last 4 weeks, and I'm enjoying it. I'm excited for the upcoming scholarship processes and senior graduations. I look forward to working with everyone and, I look forward to working with everyone in the coming months. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
I'm not going to let you take any questions.
Board members, I know we had a chance to introduce ourselves to Ms. Nygaard earlier, but any questions or comments from the board? Mr. Lee.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to say welcome and big shoes to fill. I know you'll do well, and there is no better accent than an Australian accent, so it's fun to hear you talk. Thanks.
Any other comments from the board? Ms. Nygaard, thanks again for being here. We appreciate you. We look forward to the scholarship night coming up here this spring. It's always a highlight for the board, and I'm sure it will be for you and the rest of the district as well, so thank you. Item 4 on our agenda is public comment. The board recognizes the central role that parents play in the education of their children and support active parent involvement in the educational process. The board's practice of public comment reflects and aligns with policy BCBA and the spirit of its intent. For classroom issues, it's best to follow the chain of command, from your teacher to the principal to the assistant superintendent and ultimately with the superintendent. For district-wide issues, please reach out to Dr. Fosnot. If you do speak tonight, we simply ask that you be responsible, be helpful, and be respectful. Our BPS students deserve to have adults model the expectations that we have for them. Groups are urged to select one spokesperson. Individuals will be limited to no more than 4 minutes and will be notified with 30 seconds remaining to conclude their remarks. The board does not debate issues as presented, but does take such matters under advisement. With that, please stand and approach the podium if you'd like to speak tonight. Please state your name for the minutes and the agenda item about which you'll be speaking. There's also a sign-up sheet if you choose to at the podium. Welcome.
Well, good evening. My name is Michelle Harmstead, and I will be discussing the budget
or not the entire budget, obviously, but particularly in regards to the 4th grade and 5th grade orchestra program. So as a community member and as a parent of student in orchestra, as a graduate of the Bismarck Public Schools orchestra program, I am so passionate about this program. You guys, I would not be here I'm an engineer. Music got me through engineering school, okay? I was pretty distressed when the 4th grade program got cut. I had a student going into 4th grade. We've lost him. He is no longer interested, and I don't know that that necessarily would have been the case, but it's a crucial age. This 4th and 5th grade time is a crucial age. My first son actually attends Simley Middle School. This is his 3rd year in orchestra. It's been so good for him. Math, English, all of the traditional coursework comes so easy to him. Orchestra gives him a challenge that allows him to think in a different way. He's developed relationships with people there, and we're really looking forward to the opportunities that orchestra brings, and his teachers are fabulous. They've given him this opportunity to shine in a way that is just incredible. As you know, multiple studies have proven the benefits of children learning instruments, from correlations between playing musical instruments and facilitating anxiety management, and that was a study in 2014 on cortical thickness, to boosting standardized test scores, which is really important, and I'm happy to email these specific studies to you if you're interested, but continuing to provide opportunities to children at this crucial age is paramount. This is so important. So from personal experience, I started in the 4th grade. Like I said, it's a crucial part of my development. Music brings my soul to life. And, you know, I can't tell you, I don't know, middle school is hard for everybody, right? And given the opportunity to just trudge on through to middle school and to learn something new that is also very difficult, you're missing out on such an opportunity. So I know that you're responsible for making very difficult decisions every day. I know that the budget is incredibly important, and I appreciate what you do. But as a parent, as a community member, I'm urging you to consider keeping and maybe even adding in that 4th grade again, because it is so important. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi there.
Hi, my name is Justine McManus, and I'm a 5th grader at Miller Elementary. I'm here to talk about the orchestra program and why it needs to be an option for elementary students next year. Orchestra does many things, like helps reduce stress, enhances our moods, provides cognitive enhancement, and improves our sleep. It also helps the brain in many ways. Listening to classical music has been found to enhance areas of the brain associated with dopamine, segregation, learning, and memory. The best type of music to listen to is classical music, ambient sounds, and instrumental music, which orchestra has a lot of those factors in it. Orchestra can also help make tasks easier for many students and household chores because it helps problem-solving abilities. If you do this before school, students will be more engaged in schoolwork and lessons. I think orchestra should still be in elementary school because it has inspired me to do many things. I started learning the violin in 4th grade. Like violin, viola, and the cello are hard instruments to learn, but school is hard too. And being able to learn this instrument has given me extra confidence in my schoolwork. Orchestra gives us a lot of peace and very beautiful music that we can share with our family and other students. There are 4th graders that are really looking forward to being in orchestra, and if it is taken, you will have a lot of very upset children. Music kids relax and not be grumpy and yell at teachers or staff. At my school, there was a student that had anger issues, and that student started orchestra. It calmed them and didn't yell at teachers or staff as much. Orchestra inspired me to love and care for more things because of the responsibility of caring for a fragile instrument. My mom inspired me to play because she played when she was my age, and I found a love for the violin, and now I have the confidence and the ability to try out for string strings. In conclusion, orchestra is a vital part of my day, and I cannot imagine having it. So the students of the future should be allowed to have the same opportunities that I have been allowed. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Beverly Everett. I'm the music director of the Bismarck Mandan Symphony Orchestra, and for the past 3 years, I've been the conductor of the Bismarck Mandan Symphony Youth Orchestras. And many of my colleagues and I are here tonight because we care about the music programs in our schools, and specifically our string program. I know that others have shared studies and facts about the benefits of being part of a school orchestra, and specifically the benefits of starting stringed instruments at an earlier age. Were that not the case, I do not think BPS would have implemented elementary strings in the first place years ago. We know that until last year, the elementary string programs went back as far as 1962, and we can't find quite anyone who can describe it being earlier than that, but we know that when one of the teachers came here in 1962, it had already been established. I know our time is limited tonight, and my question to you is what comes next? If we've cut the fourth grade program and we're here tonight because of our concern for fifth grade, will we be back next year for sixth and the following for seventh and so on until the program is gone entirely? What improvements will the community and the schools see by cutting fifth grade strings? And I'd be interested in answers to that question, both from a budget standpoint as well as test scores and such things. On March 7th, Governor Armstrong announced an open application for the governor's band orchestra and choral programs, open to school, community, and church bands, orchestra, and choirs across the state. The group will be selected on the merits of musical talent, achievement, and community involvement. Do you think that in future years, Bismarck schools will be able to compete with other programs such as Fargo, Grand Forks, et cetera, with other programs that start strings at least in the fifth grade or earlier? Please keep strings in our fifth grade. As I stated in my letter, which I thank you for reading that I sent last week, please let us work together for a creative solution so that we can keep our orchestra programs vibrant and alive. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Miles. I'm a parent of several BPS children. And I'm also concerned with the potential for cutting the orchestra program from the elementary schools. And as other people have mentioned, I believe that music education is important, that it enhances performance in all other subjects and classes and promotes healthy habits like self-discipline, talent development, and offers personal pride and improves the beauty and quality of life for the community. People learn and develop and find identity most in their younger years. In the Malcolm Gladwell book, Outliers, which describes that to be a master or an expert in just about anything requires 10,000 hours of work and practice. By not offering orchestra or string classes in elementary schools, we are limiting our children and community's ability to excel and become great, and we will put our young people behind the pace of their peers from other communities, other states, and around the world, where they begin not just at grade 5, but even age 5, which is completely reasonable for violin and other instruments like that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Haley Wagle.
Welcome.
My daughter is Justine. She spoke earlier. So obviously I'm here to speak about the strings program. I did not graduate in Bismarck Public Schools by any means, but I did start playing violin in the fourth grade. I played it all the way through high school. It got me through a lot of really long nights in college, even though I wasn't on any kind of orchestra when I was in college. Like my daughter said, she's grown to love it, and it's also grown to bring our family closer together. I do have a son that is in Bismarck Public Schools and an older daughter as well. My younger son is in BSET program for hard of hearing, and he has neurocentral bilateral hearing loss. And one of his favorite things is to listen to his sister create music that she wasn't even taught. She now comes home and plays Baby Shark for him, and all kinds of other different things. And so does my older daughter, who's in band. So like others have said, we're going to start by cutting fourth grade. Now you're talking about cutting fifth grade orchestra. When's it going to stop and start going into band, choir, to where all of our arts programs are cut? I'd hope that you'd be able to find another way to make it possible to continue to at least have the fifth grade, if not find a way to bring back fourth grade. My daughter started in fourth grade and she so much more confidence boost in her since she'd started to learn. She used to be very mild, timid, and afraid to speak. And today is speaking to complete strangers on a live broadband broadcast of a board meeting. So please keep that in mind. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Good evening.
Hi, my name is Maureen Murchie. You also received a letter from me, and thank you for reading that tome as well. I am a violinist. I'm the concertmaster of the Bismarck Mandan Symphony. I taught orchestra and BPS last year, school year. I moved to Bismarck to take the job with the symphony and in BPS, largely because of what I had heard about the BPS orchestra program. I'd heard that it was growing and thriving, that you had good teachers, that you had support from the community, and it was so exciting to me to join that. I'm now in a different role. I work at BSC, and my mission out there is very closely tied to BPS and music, choir, band, orchestra, because I want to bring the students who have started their music education in your district through to BSC and help them continue using what they've developed in their lives and in their careers, so that they can continue using music as a tonic, as an escape, and as a mode of expression. I think and I really thank you for the story, Justine and Haley. I love to hear stories like that helped students come out of their shell and tackle things like stage fright and so forth. But what I want to do, since I'm a professional violinist, I would like to answer the question that some of you might have, which is, why does orchestra need that head start, those 2 years or 1 year? Why can't it just start in sixth grade like choir and band? And it has to do with the physical demands of playing a stringed instrument. It's very, very complicated to have this wooden box on one hand and strung up with things, and a stick with horsehair in the other hand, and the balance and the angles and all of these little muscles. One of mine is not working right now, courtesy of your North Dakota ice that I fell on, broke my wrist. But all of these very fine motor skills and string playing elements have to be developed. It's the same concept of, why do we put braces on children's teeth? Why is that our first choice instead of when they are in high school or college? Why is it easier then? They're more malleable, they're more moldable. And we need that extra year. We need that extra 2 years to help them succeed. It's not that they won't get music education. It's not that they won't get these social skills and the empathy piece if they start in sixth grade. But the enjoyment piece that comes from improving on an instrument and actually getting better at that skill is much, much higher for strings if they can start at an earlier age. And it just has to do with the physical demands of that. There's a reason, if you've heard of the Suzuki method, 3-year-olds playing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, en masse. There's no Suzuki tuba. There aren't. It's because those instruments kids can't hold them. They're too big, and they don't make baby tubas. So a lot of, again, the physical limitations are why band starts in sixth grade. That's when they can actually handle it, and that's when they can take a mouthpiece and they have start to have the lung support, start to have the lip formation that they can do. Strings, they can start earlier and should, and that's why most of the country, so many districts, you'll see it's very common that orchestra starts in fourth grade, starts in fifth grade. So I wanted to share that piece from the standpoint of someone who plays, to those of you who might not be so versed in string technique yet, but anytime you want to learn more, I would be happy to share. But thank you so much for letting us join you tonight, and appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Carl Kroger. I have the privilege of serving as one of the pastors at McCabe United Methodist Church, and I'm just here to add my voice to thank you for the work that you do and to encourage you to look at ways not to cut, but to actually raise the bar. And I, too, would encourage you to think about reinstating fourth grade and even looking at ways to raise the bar and be a model in the state of what a strong music education program can be. I know I came from a school district in Rapid City that had band that started in fifth grade, and I started the violin in fourth grade. And many years later, as a pastor, I continue to benefit from those music experiences in my various roles. And here in Bismarck, our church is blessed to have incredible musicians, including students who play a vital role in our worship experience. We have students who both volunteer and are paid professionally because of the skills that they have learned and honed through the Bismarck School District. So I encourage you to look at ways to just empower and invest in students and to be an example to the rest of the state, especially when they may not have some of the same resources that we have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi there, I'm Rob Pesky, and I've had many of your children in my class. I've taught orchestra in Bismarck for, I think, 7 years, and also sent you an email, and I appreciate you taking the time to read that. And I just wanted to say, I know some of the concerns people have had about the orchestra program is budgeting and staffing. And a wise friend of mine once said, the best way to deal with an orchestra teacher is to treat him like a math teacher. And if you wouldn't say it to a math teacher, you shouldn't say it to an orchestra teacher. And things like, we just can't find anyone to teach the class. You would never say that to the math teacher. You'd say, we can't find staff for fourth grade math, so we're just not going to do fourth grade math this year. Could you just teach math before school? Or maybe you could take math as like an after-school activity or some sort of bonus activity. We would never consider doing those things. And so I would just say, I echo everything everyone said today, but I do believe music and orchestra is a core curriculum part of our district. And I'm proud to have been a part of that district as a student, as a teacher, as a parent, and also as a community member. And when you're wrestling with those issues, I understand. My master's degree is in administration, and so the joke I would always tell is that I was more qualified to be the school principal than the orchestra teacher. So I understand those challenges, and I would just encourage you to treat orchestra like you would treat any other core curriculum, any other class, and any other teacher in our district. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hello, Kyle Deberton. Great to see you guys and the board. Just very quickly, last May 7th, there was a huge concert at the Bismarck Event Center. Did anybody go there? I think there were a few people there. This is what I wrote for Facebook. Oh my gosh. Orchestra in Bismarck is alive and healthy. There are about 87,000 people at the Bismarck Event Center. I was being a little dramatic there. To watch and listen to hundreds of students. And then I wrote, good work, Bismarck Public Schools. And so I think it's awesome that there's several people here talking about this. I can't imagine the work that you have to do for budgeting Bismarck Public Schools. So first of all, I'm a proud public school parent. Thank you very much. If we could keep this would help my sons a lot. So appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good evening, school board members. My name is Nathan Sagsveen. I'm a Bismarck native, graduate of Bismarck High School, and I came up through the orchestra program in BPS. I started orchestra in fourth grade, and I was fortunate to do orchestra 2 years in elementary school, and it gave me the unique opportunity to switch instruments after my first year. I started on viola, but my orchestra teacher had a hunch that I would be good at the double bass, and she switched me to the next, starting in 5th grade, I started playing double bass, and it gave me a great opportunity to be able to be up to speed on that second instrument by the time I started middle school. If orchestra starts in middle school, it's going to be competing with band and choir, and unfortunately, orchestra just isn't going to win. Students are not going to want to register for orchestra because of the popularization of band and choir. And the orchestra program in Bismarck really has grown a lot. When I was in middle school, my orchestra classes were between 15 and 20 students. And I took a few days over Christmas break to go observe at Walker Middle School and just watch the orchestra teacher and see the program. And there were 40 kids crammed into that 6th grade orchestra classroom. That's almost 3 times the size of my 6th grade orchestra. The program really has grown a lot, and the arts community in Bismarck is growing so much, and I'm excited to be a part of it, and I hope that you will allow it to grow. The big question I encourage you to ask yourselves is, will you allow it to grow? I think BPS should be encouraging these students to participate in music as early as they can, and I encourage you to look past the numbers and just look at the smile on the faces of these kids in orchestra. They have so much fun. And look past the numbers and just do what your heart's telling you to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Last call for any public comment here tonight. Seeing none, public comment is now closed. Thank you for those of you that have come to share tonight. Item 5, monitoring district operations. We have no monitoring reports for this meeting. So we'll move on to item 6 on the agenda, matters reserved for board action. Item 6A, the spring 2025 superintendent summative evaluation. Dr. Fosnot, normally I would pick on you to lead on these, but because this is about you, I get to take the lead. So I just thought I would read some of the board commentary. We've had a chance to review the results and the operating expectations that have gone through. So we've had a chance to look at all those, but I just thought I would go over a few of the board comments that came in from board members. And then board will go ahead and take board action on this. So Dr. Fosnot is a responsive educator, community, and board feedback to support financial and facility planning. In particular, Dr. Fosnot and his team led the community forums and put information together to support transportation and scheduling changes. Throughout it all, he utilized the Operational Excellence Committee to inform next steps and kept the rest of the board in the loop through memos and board presentations. In regards to the R 2.1 literacy report, I was impressed that Dr. Fosnot and the team, in an effort to put together a report that was responsive to the Learning Excellence team's suggestions, contacted the board member directly to discuss concerns about data accuracy. I was impressed that Dr. Fosnot and Andrea Seibel came with proactive, data-driven solutions to create a report that was meaningful and will help the board focus on results now and in the future. All in all, Dr. Fosnot continues to lead the BPS team towards positive outcomes, and I am confident he will continue to drive continuous improvement efforts in all areas. Another comment. Dr. Fosnot's doing a great job balancing all various aspects of the superintendent position. I'm pleased with his job performance, his vision for the district, and the direction he is moving the district. I want to thank him for all the time and hard work he puts into BPS. And one other comment, Dr. Fosnot, you're getting good reviews here. I know it's uncomfortable in that seat sometimes, but Dr. Fosnot has continued his great work in leading our district. Communication with the board, educators, and the community has continued to be a great strength. Dr. Fosnot's willing to have the hard conversations that come across his desk while keeping a solutions-oriented approach to working toward district goals, including improving educational systems, budget discussions, and transportation. Additionally, as we're in a legislative year, he's also using his knowledge and expertise to advocate for the priorities and needs of public education for our state. Under Dr. Fosnot's leadership, BPS continues to make strides in preparing our learners to be community ready, whether it be college, career, or military. We've seen our Career Academy grow into a center-based model, serving the region in and around Bismarck, as well as more pathways for learner-based choice and educational options leading towards improved scores for all learners. Lastly, and most importantly, Dr. Fosnot is leading the right way. He continually lifts up his team and educators in the district, giving others credit for the successes while also taking on the challenges that come the way of his office. Thank you, Dr. Fosnot, for your tireless work, making Bismarck Public Schools #1. With that, board members, you've had a chance to, again, to go over the different OEs and Rs that we have had. So we have, the board's prior monitoring of these policies. What are the wishes of the board? Oh, Mr. Lee, I didn't see the light on, sorry.
That's fine. Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we accept the superintendent's spring 2025 summative evaluation as satisfactory.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the evaluation? Seeing none, Mr. Scher.
Lee,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Presky,
Yes.
Hager,
Yes.
Eastgate.
Yes. Motion passes. Thank you very much, Dr. Fosnot. Did you want to commentary?
I'm glad you noticed my light.
You're welcome.
I guess let me just acknowledge first, thank you. Thank you for continuing to affirm that my work, even though I stumble sometimes, that I'm heading the right way and doing good work for the district. I appreciate your support, appreciate your overly kind words. You can be critical when you need to. Please remember that if it's not going right, you can always let me know that I can do better and help you out. And I would say maybe one of these times is communicating with these people who are very passionate about, which is wonderful, by the way, talking to the audience, wonderful to know that we have people who are passionate about programs and what we do for kids, not just their tax statement.
Amen.
Okay, that was a loaded comment, but I appreciate it. It really is important, the work we do for kids, and I just want to acknowledge also the hard work that you do, and we really do in partnership. So I just really appreciate that. Thank you for being a good partner with me as we lead the district.
Thanks. Board members, as we continue on the agenda, we're at item 6B, the Bismarck Education Association Negotiating Unit Request. Some background that we had a receipt of the petition to recognize the Bismarck Education Association as the appropriate negotiating unit for the certified licensed staff employed as professional classroom teachers, librarians, and counselors who are not administrative or supervisory in nature. A notice was posted in every school in the district following the BPS board, and that we would address that tonight on the March 10th, 2025, to consider the petition and determine its validity. With that, what is the wish of the board? Or any discussion? Dr. Fosnot, something to add?
I was just going to say to help, remember this phrase came right out of school boards. It's kind of a little wonky. We kind of gave you the background, which you've already referenced. The motion, if you need some, is at the end of your statement, so you can condense. We tried to condense it for you. So,
Ms. Peterson.
And with that, I move that the board recognizes the Bismarck Education Association as the representative organization for a minimum of 1 year beginning July 1, 2025.
Second.
Motion by Board Member Peterson, second by Mr. Hager and Mr. Lee. You can pick Mr. Scher. Any other discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Scher, the roll, please.
Peterson,
Yes.
Presky,
Yes.
Hager,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Eastgate.
Yes, motion passes. And last under 6C, board member school visit updates. Board members, I didn't get a chance to check in to see if anybody had some, but I believe we have a few commentary from schools. Ms. Peterson.
Yeah, I can start. Didn't officially have a school visit. I have one tomorrow, which is my last one. But Board Member Hager and I were invited and able to attend the Bismarck High Zen Den. And I'll tell you a little bit about what that is. Both of us have deep Bismarck High roots. And so we had heard a couple of comments from an educator, Wendy Bakken, who had kind of recognized a need at the school and had kind of reached out to leadership to get some approval to put together a Zen Den for teachers at the building. And so really, honestly, it started with a recognition that there was a open closet in some of the new area that they had at the in the auditorium. And rather than just use there was already a storage closet, so it didn't take up any space that was already being used. But they recognize this need that teachers oftentimes were feeling kind of maybe overwhelmed and needing the opportunity to kind of just get some quiet in their day, and really I don't want to just say unwind, but really prepare for kind of some of the things that, the different behavioral issues that they are dealing with, maybe some academic supports. And so together with kind of public and private partnerships, this was kind of no funding that was needed from the school or even the school board or anything of that nature, but reached out and was able to get donations from local businesses. Primarily, what really kind of went into this was basically a couple coats of paint and a massage chair. And so that was like the biggest thing that had an expense. And she was able to not only get a donation and a discount for the chair, but a donation from the Moose of $2,000 to be able to put together that massage chair. And really what you do as an educator is if you want to book it out for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes in the day. They have it scheduled just like a conference room, and teachers are able to go in there and utilize that space. And so Josh and I were both able to go and sample the massage chair. We were able to, there's journaling, there's some other kind of ways to do kind of positive affirmations, there's water, there's a Zen garden, just different things in the room, and everything is really heavily researched for just supporting well-being. And I know that in a lot of our school visits, we've mentioned different ways teachers and leaders are creating kind of wellness activities for their staff and their students, and just different things. This was just one area that she was really proud to showcase, but also just to put like a pin in it for any other somebody else who's listening to this and wants to maybe put something together, and really did work to create that all those partnerships and those donations. And so she gave us some of the code to get in there, and so I know I might use it even at a band concert later today to go visualize, to go watch. And so I was really excited to just be a part of that and hear about how many educators are using that. They've been taking research and surveys on that so that it keeps getting used and make sure that it's still data-driven and useful for their building. And so far, it's been a really good success at their building. So just shout out to Wendy for putting that together, and just for BHS for kind of being innovative, and all the schools who are really putting well-being at the center.
That's awesome. Thanks a lot for that report, and thanks to Ms. Bakken for on behalf of all the other teachers at Bismarck High, it sounds like, right? That's pretty great. Dr. Fosnot.
If I may comment to your report, thank you for sharing that. This year you heard that, and coming back to school, we want to elevate. It's raising up our kids, right? But to be prepared to raise up our kids, we need to elevate our educators, and we need to elevate their well-being. That's been a push all year. Ms. Bakken came to us last year with that request, just for the sake of you and our constituents. There was only a few rules, like go find the money, go find businesses and people who will donate the money, because it won't come from central office or the board, as you said, and then use spaces. You can't use a space that's a student space. Okay, so these are staff spaces that we already had that have been retasked, so you don't have to worry like we're not cheating from a classroom to make an adult space. We're trying to find a different way to use an adult space, but I do agree with you, Ms. Peterson. Just taking 5 minutes, right, during our day, just to release and be ready for the kids is a good thing. So I'm glad you had a good experience. So,
absolutely. Any other school visits from board members? The only other one I would bring up is just a great job to BPS for the WDA tournament this past weekend. The WDA tournament's a great opportunity. It's a spot to celebrate kids, and we get to see from the national anthem, Bismarck High singer at the beginning of the first game on Thursday. I had a chance to announce, which was so much fun, to the cheer teams getting out there and getting the crowd into it, to the players. Coach Mattern got West Region Coach of the Year in the boys' side, and we had multiple teams that are going to the state tournament. It's just a lot to be excited and proud of, and I just wanted to also say thanks to our activities department. So, Dr. Fosnot, if you at the central office, please let them know. Mr. Dave Zittelman and his whole team of activities directors, Mr. Crane, Mitchell, and Lervick, and Carrie Wellstead and Kylie John, all of them, Kylie Johnson, the whole team just did a great job. Awesome tournament. There's so much that goes into it that people don't see behind the scenes, and a lot of the volunteers. There's a great group of BPS alumni and some different folks that are wandering around making sure that everybody has what they have to pull off a great event. So, big thanks to that whole group. No other school visit updates. We'll keep moving down the agenda. Number 7, the consent agenda. What are the wishes of the board? Mr. Hager.
I move to accept the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Scher.
Preskey,
Yes.
Hager,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Eastgate.
Yes. Motion passes. And into the superintendent's report, 8A, major projects. Dr. Fosnot.
I'm going to hand that off to Mr. Scher.
Good evening.
Good evening, board members. Tonight, I'll just give us a quick update where we're at with our Silver Ranch Career Academy. As you can see in the picture, all the steel is up for the structure of that. We're meeting this Wednesday to go over to field verify all of our underground electrical that will be in both the egg shop and the carpentry shop. And I've got a Diet Coke bet with somebody that'll be totally enclosed by end of March. We'll see. I think they're going to be really close. And Mother Nature was looking out for me there because the weather's been just awesome to kind of get things kind of expedited. I feel like we're on track. And remember, we will occupy that south part of the building. We're still looking at ways to help fund to finish that building on the north side. It will be shelled out, but we have that work to do. I also included the financials for your review. If you have any questions, we did get a big influx for the CTE grant and we'll be getting that every month. Our goal, or not our goal is, but the plan is the funding actually is done and we're not asking for an extension at June 30, so we will have all of our grant funds expended by that time. And I'd answer any questions the board would have.
Board members, any questions for Mr. Scher? Don't see any here tonight. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Appreciate the report. Dr. Fosnett, any follow-up to that, or should we move on to B?
None.
The 2025-2026 budget. Dr. Fosnett.
I do have a few comments tonight. I know we're leading up into probably several successions of workshops dealing with budgets, so this is just kind of a check-in, let you know where we are. And I thought tonight's actually appropriate maybe to help educate the community too of that budgeting process and where we're at as we make those decisions. I'm going to kind of encapsulate my comments into the revenue side of the budget, which we normally do, expenditure side of the budget, some of the things that are challenges, and then maybe some of the process going forward. On the revenue side, I would tell you, first of all, federal funding. We have all heard the narrative coming from DC as far as funding that is having an impact on your school or potentially could. I can't say there's any direct cuts yet, but Ms. Peterson will probably know a couple days before I do. But there's definitely saber rattling at DOE and Congress about what they're going to do with Title I, II, III, IV funding. Title I probably is the least concerning for me now, but II, III, and IV are definitely pots of money that we rely on every year for some of the work we do. It doesn't hire a lot of staff, but it does provide a lot of the supports for staff that we'd have to find somewhere else. So that is concerning. The other one on the revenue side, board members, and we're too close, we see it every week or every day in the paper, is just state level funding for education. Right now, coming out over crossover is a 2%. That will be a challenge, and we're building that into. I mean, we've talked about projected budgets even back in December. That's less than what our even conservative projections are at. So we have some more work to do on the legislative side this half, and see if we can find some additional funding for the school. The other one that I'll be testifying or at least providing support for on Wednesday is CTE funding. We've been really advocating for continued funding for existing programs, and I know you kind of mentioned it in my evaluation for the center funding. That really is in jeopardy. We had a conversation today about maybe not moving programming over to the center just because of the funding model is being changed right now. high anxiety moment today. Was not the best time to do that. But you saw a significant reduction in new and expanding funding in the first half of the session. So we need to go back and really push for that. That's going to put, as really not just BPS, all these regions that have built these new career centers, that was a push to do that. Very much widely supported across the state. It's really a gap now that we built out the brick and mortar. The money came to build this place, the space, but now we're seeing a real constriction on the actual funding to make like the teachers and supplies show up in those spaces. So that's something we have to continue with. On the expenditure side, I'd like to address first directly orchestra. I mean, again, to those out here, thanks for coming and voicing your concern. I would like to say this is, I think this is a nice statement. I benefited from the arts as a child. I didn't have the opportunity to play strings. I was just a little Class B kid, so I didn't have that opportunity. But I definitely love the arts, and I love to sing, and those are important things. And in my heart, I don't want to just kill the arts. That's not my goal. My goal is not to take away arts from our community. I appreciate the arts, but right now we're feeling a pinch, and I think Mr. Pesky's comments to me this evening, or to the group, resonate. Thank you very much. And I'm going to take your words into thought as I do this. It really is, last year was staffing. It was staffing late. We couldn't find a person to provide it, and really, unlike some other courses, we don't have many options to go find it somewhere else. I can't go get it from another vendor. So I made the decision early last year that I wasn't going to let a family purchase a violin, a very expensive instrument, and then say on August 1st, sorry, it's gone. I didn't think that was fair to our parents and the families. So we just went into this year saying, what does orchestra look like again? I would tell you that the recommendation coming out of the elementary division was to move it to sixth grade, but that is not really taking any money from you. I'm not going to pull back any money, so you know it's not about really the money, because we're just going to reuse the money to hire the same staff and provide them to the middle school. So even if we would reduce fifth grade, it's not about saving the dollars. It's reallocating our people. Okay, that recommendation's still sitting on my desk. It's been sitting on my desk for a while, and we did meet with our orchestra teachers on February 20th just to talk through what would it look like if it stayed in fifth grade, what would it look like if it went to sixth grade, what would it look like if it went to fourth grade. All of us can guess that my orchestra teacher's recommendation was, we'd love it in fourth grade. I agree with you. I would love to too. And did they have concerns about moving to sixth grade? Absolutely. Many of the things that were already Maureen's comments here, exactly what my orchestra teacher said. So those are sitting kind of with me as a recommendation and kind of sitting in my mind as we try to navigate this. We have the orchestra position posted. It's been posted for 2 weeks. We extended a week. We got it into a national listing last Friday, I think it was, to see if we could find staff members for that. That will be a challenge, but we're hopeful. And if we can, then we get to make different decisions. It'll all coalesce around all those factors together and how we can move forward. But again, competing recommendations, that's why they get to sit on my desk, and we'll figure it out as we go, as we get some of that information. But again, be very clear, it's not about saving you any money. I'm going to spend your money regardless either way. It's just a matter of where we spend it. Okay. The other concerns in the budget, though, to be honest, it goes back to the federal revenue side. If Title I was reduced, I mean, just to be real clear, Title I has 43.9 FTEs in it. That's 43 people in slices of people. Any reductions in federal funding are going to be really hard, and unfortunately, they're going to come really late. For a lot of professional staff, there's timelines to those reductions. So either depending on when we get informed of whatever the new budget allocations are from the federal government, We could be obligated to pay teachers for another year because we're past the timelines for reduction in force and those things. I don't foresee that happening, hopefully. But those are the things that weigh on the budget discussion, weigh in my office, I guess. Again, the 2%, I live with a teacher. She doesn't work for me. She works for Mandan. God bless Mandan. I can't believe I said that at a Bismarck board meeting. I'm sorry, John. But as I told some teachers today, if I could give my teachers 5 and 5, 6 and 6, I would. Honestly, the last couple of years have been a challenge. It's just a matter of, it's going to be hard to do in an environment where we're getting 2 and 2 from the state. And I think we've all talked about that. That's something that's concerning us for the future. And really all of our staff. It's not just teachers. We have custodians, we have paras, we have cooks that all need a cost of living increase that they're probably not going to be satisfied with this year. I just don't feel like they will, but I hope we can all come to an agreement later this year. Needs, you're going to hear some this week. We have a couple workshops coming. Student support services, which you on this Wednesday, but Renew Ed for elementary to address student behaviors. I have a request. I met with Mrs. Nelson today for additional FTE support in special ed. Special ed really elementary and secondary level. Additional counselors, additional social workers are all sitting on my desk. All those are great. If you remember last year, we let go 3 nurses. Those are still a desire to have nursing staff back. So those are kind of in the equation. One that we have talked about, I know, but for the sake of the audience, EL funding. We've talked about the increase in EL students in our buildings. That's 55 languages. We've grown 33% of our EL enrollment since 2023. This year, we're up 47% over last year in newcomers. So we have 645 EL students, 170 newcomers. That's 170 kids that come to our school and don't speak any English, okay? When the EL coordinator, Ms. Simmons, is coming to us and saying, hey, we got to find additional support, that's sitting on the desk waiting. It's the job. It's the job you hired me for. It's a job I love to do every single day. That's just all the factors that are going to budgeting right now. The process is just beginning. It's not done. I will say again for the audience, orchestra's decision's not done. It's just sitting in the hopper along with all these others. February 24th, I sent an email out to all my principals and coordinators. This is just saying, if any position becomes vacant that is not a classroom teacher, it has to go through my office to get reviewed. Like, we're trying to constrict where we can so we can put money to what our priorities are. And as you know, we have negotiations coming. We have many needs, and we have some wants, but honestly, I've told my staff, keep your wants because all we're addressing is needs. That's about all we can do, and we'll make the tough choices soon. So that was a very depressing report. I'm sorry.
No, thank you, Dr. Fosnot. Thanks for sharing on those items. Thanks for speaking into some of the concerns, not just from people here sharing about orchestra, but some of the other ones as well. You know, something as board members, if we've had a chance to visit, and even I know as I was responding to some of the emails and phone calls, even just regarding tonight's conversation on orchestra, is just that in our district we've continually said for the last couple of years anyway that we're trying to do more with less, and I just think we don't want to get to a point where we're having to do less with less. You know, we've said again and again, and it resonates so much with the emails I receive, that we have a community and a school district that I care about greatly, and I know these folks do too. I know a lot of people out there do. I know our board does. And so we want to make sure that we're doing things that we can be proud of, and that we have a district, as we've said, that leads the way in all these different areas. And I'm certainly hopeful that we can continue to do that. But it's going to take community support along the way, and looking for solutions. You know, we're going to have to try to figure some of these out, not just as a school district, but as an entire community. And I hope that people see that we want to continue to to be the leader in providing really, really good, positive things for our kids, both in the classroom and outside. It's what I mean, just been telling people again and again, we're all about that. I know we are, because I've had conversations with all the board members as we've addressed some of these things, and I know you are, Dr. Fosnot. So, board members, any other questions or comments for Dr. Fosnot following this? Mr. Lee?
Thank you, President Eastgate. I do want to take this time, especially since all of you were so gracious with your time to show up tonight. Cutting fifth grade orchestra wasn't anything we've even discussed. I think it came about because of this lag in knowing what the state and federal funding is going to look like, that we as a district have been non-committal to a lot of things. So it's not specific to orchestra. And what President Eastgate said resonates with me. We've always, as a board, been about opportunities for kids, and we do recognize the importance. You validated that tonight, so your time here means a lot to us, but we certainly do appreciate the comments. I want to point out that 85% of our budget, at least the last few cycles, has been salaries. So you're dealing with, 15% of the budget and trying to meet so many needs. And I think, again, President Eastgate, you're spot on. We don't want to do less with less. And we've been able to hold it off so far, but it feels like we're getting to kind of a breaking point, especially when you look at the state funding 2 and 2 and what's happening federally. It's tough. When you deal with the number of EL students we do, last I heard we speak 87 languages in Bismarck Public Schools. So let that sink in. We're having to, and I can guarantee you we don't have staff in every school that speaks 87 languages. So sometimes a family of 5 will show up on the doorstep, and we have to be able to communicate, not just with the kids, but with the parents. And it's not easy. We have a number of needs surrounding mental health and kids that are ED that play into disruptive student behaviors that we're trying desperately to get a handle on, when so many state programs and services and actually facilities, Prairie Learning Center, those types of places that have dried up and gone away. Those kids used to be placed at those facilities, and now they are not. So they come back to our schools every day, and we try to deal with them, and I think we do a great job of that. But the reality is we're not equipped as a district to deal with all of the issues we see. So at some point, we need help, and hopefully we'll get that message across. I do thank Dr. Fosnot for the great work he does with our legislators and being an advocate for public education. We need advocates now more than ever, because BPS has always been great. It's been great because of our people. It still is great, but we don't want to see that diminished. So in any case, again, thank you all for being here tonight.
Board members, any other comments? I also just wanted to go back on my thanks to the WDA. Earlier I mentioned Carrie and Kylie, also Nicole Fitzgerald. Those 3 behind the scenes make a ton happen. I didn't want to forget anybody there. I think that's important. So if you know or see any of those 3, tell them great job for all the stuff behind the work that doesn't get the fanfare. So with that, again, thank you for board members for being here tonight and going through the entire agenda with us. All items have been considered. I declare this meeting adjourned.